Have you ever carried a secret so heavy, you forget what it feels like to breathe normally? One of those secrets that doesn't just haunt you, it becomes you. Wakes up with you. Eat with you. Sits beside you in silence. That's what this is. So, let me just say it out loud, maybe then it'll finally stop echoing in my head. He waited until everyone was asleep, and then my stepdad entered my room. And the worst part? I didn't stop him. I didn't scream. I didn't flinch. I didn't do anything. And yeah, I know what you're thinking, I should have. Right? But sometimes, the lines between right and wrong aren't just blurry, they're buried. Under years of feeling invisible. Unwanted. Unheard. I haven't told anyone this. Not my mom. Not my friends. Not even the therapist I only saw twice because she kept blinking too fast when I said my stepdad's name. But I'm telling you. You, the person listening on their phone or maybe driving home with this in your ears, yeah, you. Before you judge me, ask yourself this. Have you ever wanted to be wanted so badly you ignored every red flag just to feel something real? If your answer is yes or no, just drop it in the comments. No judgment. Just the truth. And if this story already has your heart racing, do me one small favor, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. I'm not proud of what I did, but I won't lie about it either. Because that's where it started. Not with the night. Not with the door creaking open. It started with the silence. The kind that stretches across a room even when someone's sitting right next to you. The kind that grows roots inside your chest until you're convinced you're not even there anymore. I was used to silence. And then one night, it broke. I remember it too clearly, like some cruel film I didn't audition for, but now I'm starring in it on repeat. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning too slow, too soft. The moonlight spilled through my blinds, slicing the wall in these little stripes that reminded me of prison bars. Then, footsteps. Not loud. Not fast. Just, careful. Measured. Like someone trying not to be heard. But I heard him. I always did. I froze. Not out of fear, exactly. More like anticipation, the kind you hate yourself for feeling. I should have gotten up. Locked the door. Pulled the covers over my head and pretended to be asleep. But I didn't. I laid there, still, waiting. And that's what I hate the most. Not that he came in. Not that I let him. But deep down, I wanted him to. That's the part no one prepares you for, when desire wears a disguise. When you start confusing attention for affection. And the more it hurts, the more it feels like home. This isn't the story of some girl who got tricked. This is the story of how loneliness becomes lust, and how I became someone I swore I'd never be. So if you're still here, thank you. And if you've ever carried something dark and complicated like this, you're not alone. More is coming. And it only gets messier from here. You know what's wild? You can live with people who claim to love you, and still feel like no one's there. That's how it started for me. My parents split when I was 9. My dad, Raul Spencer, vanished like smoke after the final court date. He sent me birthday cards for 2 years, the kind with glittery dogs and $5 bills inside, and then even that stopped. Like he just forgot I existed. He started a new family across town. I saw pictures on Facebook. Smiling with his new son, my half-brother I've never met. They were building sandcastles. I was building walls. My mom, Elena Figueroa, she stayed, but she was always gone. Nurse. Graveyard shifts. Double shifts. Holidays. She said she did it for us. But us felt a lot like her. When she was home, she was tired. Headaches. Deadlines. Always rubbing her temples and asking me to just be quiet for 5 minutes. So I got really good at being quiet. I stopped asking for help with homework. I stopped knocking on her door when I had nightmares. I stopped crying when she missed school plays or forgot my art showcase. Eventually, I stopped expecting anything. I was alone so often, I started finding comfort in the silence. It was the only thing that stayed. I filled my hours with sketchbooks and journals. I drew people I wanted to meet. Families who made pancakes together. Moms who kissed their daughters goodnight without looking at their phones. Dads who showed up. And yeah, I had Spencer Arroyo for a while. My first real boyfriend. He love-bombed me with texts at first. Good morning, beautiful. Can't stop thinking about you. The kind of stuff you screenshot and send to your best friend. And then after we slept together, it changed. He got a cold. Started leaving me on read. Cancelled dates last minute. Ghosted me after I asked what we were. I cried in the school library bathroom for 2 days straight. You know what my mom said when she noticed my puffy eyes? Probably just hormones. You'll be fine. That's when I stopped telling her things altogether. So yeah. By the time Thatcher Grant, my mom's new boyfriend, showed up, I was already empty. Just a body walking through a house full of silence. And he noticed. Not in a creepy way, not at first. Just different. He looked me in the eyes when I spoke. Laughed at my dry jokes. Brought me strawberry ice cream when he saw I'd been crying, even though I swore I had allergies. He started asking about my art. My music taste. The show I binge-watched every Friday night with a bowl of microwave popcorn and a hoodie that still smelled like Spencer. And when he asked me about my sketches, I just stared at him. Not because I didn't want to answer. But because I couldn't remember the last time someone asked. The truth is, I didn't realize how empty I was, until someone started filling the silence. Until I noticed that my hands stopped trembling when he was near. That my voice got steadier when he was around. I started hoping my mom would work another night shift, just so I could sit across from him a little longer. I didn't understand it back then. I didn't know what to call it. I just knew that silence used to feel like a prison. And now, it felt like something else. Something warm. Something waiting. And I was walking toward it. 6 months after they started dating, Thatcher moved in. No big announcement. No family dinner with a toast or some heartfelt speech. Just a pile of boxes in the living room and his toothbrush suddenly next to hers. He brought more plants than I expected, those tall leafy ones that looked like they belonged in fancy Airbnb photos. He smelled like cedar and sage, and his voice? It was the kind that didn't raise itself to be heard. It just carried, low, calm, a little gravelly like someone who'd seen things and survived them. And the weirdest part? He wasn't trying too hard. He wasn't like other guys who dated my mom. They always wanted to impress her, but ignored me like I was just part of the rent package. Thatcher didn't ignore me. He talked to me. Not like I was a kid. Not like I was in the way. But like I mattered. He asked about school, even when I didn't answer. He offered to fix the wobbly leg on my desk. He made breakfast on Sundays and remembered I hated soggy eggs. And when I'd sit at the kitchen table sketching quietly, he'd leave a cup of tea beside me. No words. Just tea. Like he knew that silence was the only language I trusted. I kept telling myself it didn't mean anything. That he was just being nice. But then one morning, everything changed. It was early. Like, sun just barely spilled over the countertops early. I couldn't sleep, again, so I went downstairs for water. No makeup. Hair in a loose bun. Hoodie 3 sizes too big. And there he was. Thatcher. In the kitchen. Shirtless. The kettle was steaming behind him, and he stood there, barefoot, scrolling through his phone, his muscles catching the morning light like a damn movie scene. I froze. Not because I was scared. But because my body reacted in ways my mind didn't expect. My stomach flipped. My cheeks flushed. My thighs pressed together, subtly, involuntarily. And something in me whispered, what would it feel like to be held by him? I blinked hard, tried to snap myself out of it. But then, he looked up. And smiled. Just a soft, sleepy smile, nothing suggestive. But I felt it everywhere. Couldn't sleep either? He asked. I shook my head. He poured me a glass of water without asking. Handed it over. Our fingers brushed. It was a second. A moment. But it lingered. I hated that I thought about it all day. Hated how his forearm flexed when he opened the fridge. Hated how I found myself listening for his footsteps, memorizing the way he said my name. Anoa. Like it meant something. And then came the night that changed everything. It was storming. One of those heavy rains that feels like it's trying to break the sky open. Mom was on a double shift again. I was in the kitchen, sitting on the floor, knees tucked into my chest, tears soaking the sleeves of my hoodie. I wasn't crying for anything specific. Just, all of it. The emptiness. The pretending. The weight of being unseen, even when I was right there. I didn't hear him come in. But I felt him. He knelt down slowly, like he was approaching a wounded animal. Hey, you okay? I shook my head. He didn't say anything right away. Just sat beside me. Our arms didn't touch, but I could feel the heat radiating off his skin. The quiet was thick, but not awkward. It felt safe. And then I felt it, his hand on my arm. Warm. Strong. Gentle. But it lingered. Just a second too long. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The storm outside lit the room in flashes, like some kind of spotlight from the universe. His eyes met mine. They didn't dart away. And something passed between us. Something heavy. Unspoken. Real. I whispered, thank you. He whispered back, you don't have to carry it all alone. And for the first time in forever, I believed it. I went to bed that night and couldn't stop thinking about how his hand felt on my skin. Not just the touch. But the absence of it, once it was gone. That was when I knew. He wasn't just my mom's husband. He was the only one who really saw me. And the part of me that had spent years disappearing was starting to come back to life. It started with glances. Then those glances turned into pauses. And those pauses turned into patterns. Thatcher had a routine. Every night after dinner, around 9:45, he'd head into the garage to work out. Nothing fancy, just a bench press, a jump rope, and one of those resistance bands that looked like it could snap your arm off. At first, I didn't care. But one night, I walked past the open door. Just passing by. He was there. Shirtless. Back muscles flexing. Sweat glistened down his spine like a slow drip of heat. His jaw clenched as he grunted through each rep. The garage light flickered a little, and the shadows made his tattoos look like they were moving. I stopped walking. And I watched. Just for a second. And then the next night? I passed by again. Longer this time. It became a thing. Like a secret show I didn't want to admit I subscribed to. I never got too close. Just far enough to see. Close enough to feel something pull tight in my stomach. Something warm. Something dangerous. I knew it was wrong. Of course I did. But desire doesn't care what's right. It cares about the silence you're trying to fill. I started writing about him in my journal. Not detailed, not at first. Just small things. He made spaghetti tonight. Used too much garlic. I still liked it. He fixed the doorknob on the bathroom without being asked. His voice in the hallway makes the whole house feel warmer. And then the entries started changing. I wonder what his hands would feel like on my hips. I wonder if he notices when I skip wearing a bra under my hoodie. I wonder if he ever thinks of me. I hated myself for writing those things. And I hated how much I needed to. At night, I started picturing him. Not just in the hallway. Not just in the garage. In my room. Touching me. Whispering my name like it was a secret only we knew. And the fantasies, they weren't soft. They were raw. Possessive. The kind of thoughts that leave you breathless, shaking, soaked in guilt but too far gone to turn back. That's the thing they don't tell you about obsession. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It just moves in. Take over your skin. Your thoughts. Your nights. That night, the one that still burns in the back of my mind, started like every other. Door closed. Lights off. Soft music playing low from my phone. Journal under my pillow. And my vibrator in my hand. It wasn't anything new. I'd been doing it for years. Quietly. Carefully. It was how I fell asleep. Like brushing my teeth. But that night, I was already too far in. Already thinking about him. His hands. His chest. His voice low and hoarse in my ear saying, "You feel so good, Enoa." I arched my back. Pressed deeper. And then I said it. Thatcher. Just a whisper. But it was real. And as soon as the name slipped out of my mouth, my eyes flew open. I sat up, breath caught in my throat. The hallway light, faint, dim, distant, flickered under the door crack. Did I hear something? I froze. Heart pounding. Was someone there? Was he there? I stared at the door. The shadows didn't move. The light stayed still. But my body betrayed me. Because even in the stillness, even in the fear, I didn't stop. I pressed the toy back down, slower this time. My breathing returned, heavier, hotter. I didn't know if he'd heard me. But some sick, twisted part of me hoped he had. That was the night everything shifted. Not because of what I did. But because of what I wanted. Because that was the first time I stopped pretending it was just a crush. It wasn't. It was something deeper. Darker. Heavier. And whether he knew it or not, Thatcher wasn't just my mom's husband anymore. He was the star of my daydreams. And the shadow in my doorway. It was a Thursday. Funny how I remember that. Mom had picked up a last-minute night shift at the hospital. Said they were short-staffed. Said she'd be back by morning. Kissed me on the cheek like she always did. I nodded, said be safe, like I always did. But inside? I was waiting. For what? I didn't know. Maybe I did. I was in bed by 10. Lights off. Hoodie on. One leg over the covers like I couldn't decide if I wanted to sleep or stay awake. And then I heard it. That soft creak. My door. Opening. Very, slowly. I didn't move. I just stared into the dark. And then, I saw him. Thatcher. He stood there in the doorway, his silhouette cutting through the shadows like he belonged there. Like he had always belonged there. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me. And I looked back. We didn't blink. Didn't flinch. We just breathed. And in that quiet, I could hear everything. The hum of the fridge down the hall. The soft tap of rain against my window. The sound of my heartbeat in my ears. Then he spoke. "Tell me to leave," he whispered. His voice didn't shake. Mine did. But I didn't speak. I didn't even nod. I just let the silence answer. He stepped forward. One foot, then another. Like he was giving me time to change my mind. I didn't. He reached the side of my bed and paused again. Our eyes locked. I could smell him, faint cologne and something warm, like cinnamon and skin. His breath slowed. Mine caught. Then, he leaned down. And kissed my forehead. Just my forehead. Soft. Lingering. Like he was asking for permission in a language we both understood. I reached up. Found his hand in the dark. Slid my fingers between his. I should have screamed. I should have pulled away. But instead, I opened my legs. Not wide. Just enough. Just enough to let him know. Just enough to tell him I wasn't afraid. Just enough to say, I want this too. He exhaled, slow, heavy, broken. His thumb brushed the top of my hand. Are you sure? He asked. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I pulled him closer. His body hovered over mine, warm, tense, hesitating like a wave that knew it was about to crash. Then I whispered the two words I would spend months replaying in my head. Don't stop. And just like that. The line we swore we'd never cross? It disappeared beneath us. Vanished between shared breath and bare skin. He wasn't my stepdad at that moment. He was a man. And I was the girl who never got picked. Never got touched like she mattered. Until now. Until him. After that night, things didn't just change. They rewired. My body. My sleep. My breath. My sense of time. My sense of self. Everything became him. It started with the soft knocks. Always just once, maybe twice, spaced apart like a question. Never loud. Always after midnight, when the world had finally stopped spinning and the walls in our house were thin with sleep. I never said come in. He never needed me to. I'd already left the door cracked open. He'd slip inside like he belonged there. Because, by then, he did. Sometimes, he'd crawl under the covers and just hold me. Nothing else. No talking. No movement. Just his hand on my hip, his breath warming the back of my neck. And I'd fall asleep in under 5 minutes, something I hadn't done in years. Other nights, it was different. He'd press his fingers against my lips and whisper, "Don't make a sound." And I wouldn't. I couldn't. Because he'd already taken my voice, along with the rest of me. He'd move slowly, deliberately, like he knew I was memorizing every touch. And I was. We started whispering in closets. Stealing kisses in the laundry room. Touching under the table when Elena went to answer phone calls. Laughing a second too long when no one was looking. Pretending we weren't unraveling everything that held us together. It was stupid. It was dangerous. It was perfect. I stopped caring about anyone else. I ghosted my friends. Skipped group chats. Started ignoring my own texts. I'd sit through family dinners, smiling when I had to, nodding when it was polite. But the whole time, my brain was somewhere else. With him. On him. Inside the space between the last time and the next. He filled me deeper than anyone else ever did. And not just physically. He filled the cracks. The gaps. The empty places I never admitted were there. When he was inside me, I didn't think about the lies. I didn't think about the blood we shared through marriage. I didn't think about my mom. Or maybe I did. And maybe that's what made it hotter. It wasn't just about sex. He read my Joe. Blamed hormones. Said I was just tired. But Kyra's not stupid. One afternoon, she caught me staring at Thatcher while he was fixing the patio light. He had his shirt off. Again. She leaned in and whispered, "Girl, if you're looking at your stepdad like that, we've got a serious problem." I pretended to gag. Rolled my eyes. Said, What the hell, Kyra?" She shrugged. But her eyes didn't. She knew something was off. The truth is, I didn't just lose myself. I gave myself away. Willingly. Because when he touched me, nothing else mattered. Not school. Not guilt. Not the sound of my mom's laugh in the other room. Not the fact that this couldn't last. I knew it would end eventually. But I didn't care. Because while it lasted, I wasn't empty. I was whole. Even if it wasn't real. Even if it wasn't right. He made me forget myself, and I let him. Secrets feel powerful. Until you realize they don't belong to you anymore. They own you. That became clear the night we almost got caught. Sofia Bautista was staying over that weekend. My cousin. Loud. Nosy. The kind of girl who doesn't knock, just walks in and assumes she's welcome. She was sleeping in the guest room. Or at least, she was supposed to be. But sometime after midnight, she heard something. A sound. A creak. A whisper. Thatcher had come to my room that night, same as always. But that night, maybe we were sloppier. Maybe I moaned too loud. Maybe the bed hit the wall one too many times. Or maybe she was just nosy and couldn't sleep. All I know is that the next morning, she looked at me funny. You talk in your sleep, she said, sipping her coffee. Huh? I played dumb. Kept hearing you say someone's name. Whose name? She tilted her head. Smirked. You tell me. And that was the first crack. The first hairline fracture in the glass house we'd built. But we didn't stop. We couldn't stop. Because when you get addicted to someone, to the way they make you feel seen, needed, worshipped, you don't quit cold turkey. You keep pushing the line. Until the line disappears. One afternoon, Mom was supposed to be out late, overtime again. Sofia had gone to the mall with Kyra. The house was quiet. Still. Thatcher and I were on the couch. I was on top of him. Straddling his lap. His hands under my shirt. My thighs wrapped tight around his waist. We weren't even trying to be careful anymore. His mouth was on my neck. My hands in his hair. The world had shrunk to just the two of us and the sound of our breathing. And then, the garage door opened. That low, mechanical grrrk of the door rolling up. And the snap inside me was instant. We scrambled. I jumped off his lap so fast I nearly tripped. He grabbed the throw blanket from the floor, tossed it over his lap. I fumbled for my hoodie, yanked it down past my thighs. He ran a hand through his hair. Wiped his mouth. Stood up like he'd just been watching TV. And I sat there on the other side of the couch, heartbeat in my throat, legs trembling under the blanket I clutched like armor. Seconds later, the door swung open. Elena. Hair in a bun. Keys in her hand. Purse slung over her shoulder. Hey, guys. Didn't expect to be home this early. Power went out on the floor, no one could chart. She smiled. We smiled back. Too quickly. Too perfect. I don't even remember what we said. Something about Netflix. Some stupid lie about a movie. But I remember what I felt. Terror. Not fear of being caught, not exactly. But fear that I no longer cared if I was. After she went upstairs, I sat there for a long time. Blanket still wrapped around me. Thatcher pacing near the sink. Neither of us saying anything. Because we both knew. We weren't being careful anymore. We weren't being us anymore. The obsession had swallowed everything, logic, guilt, control. And for the first time since it began, I didn't feel powerful. I felt possessed. The night we almost got caught was the night I realized I wasn't in control. There's a difference between love and addiction. Love frees you. Addiction, it chains itself to your breath, makes you think you need someone just to feel the air move through your lungs. And Thatcher? He was oxygen. Every inhale was him. Every exhale came with his name at the back of my throat. I don't know exactly when I stopped being Elena's daughter and became something else, something more, something dangerous. I can't point to the exact second when guilt stopped screaming and started whispering sweet nothings. But I remember what it felt like. It felt like drowning, only warm. It felt like fire, only quiet. He didn't just fill a hole in my life. He became the hole. The gravity well I couldn't pull myself from. The reason I stopped recognizing the girl in the mirror. I gave up my journal. Stopped sketching. Stopped texting Kyra back. Stopped pretending like I cared what the end looked like, because deep down, I already knew it wouldn't be clean. There are no soft landings when you fall in love with your mother's husband. People romanticize forbidden love. They think it's sexy. Exciting. Maybe it is, in the beginning. But no one talks about what comes after. No one warns you about the silence. How empty your bed feels when they stop showing up. How hollow your body feels after you've been touched like you're the only thing that ever mattered, and then not at all. How every normal moment tastes bland compared to what you've tasted in secret. Thatcher ruined me for anyone else. And maybe that's what I asked for. Because the truth? I still hear his footsteps echoing in the back of my mind. I still crave the warmth of his breath on my neck, the way his fingertips made me feel like I wasn't just touched, I was known. I still see him in the dark, standing in my doorway, asking me if I wanted him to leave. I'm not proud of what happened between us. But I'm not sure I regret it either. Because for one moment, one dangerous, devastating, unforgettable moment, I was wanted. Fully. Recklessly. Desperately. And you don't just forget that. You don't feel it. Some cravings never go away. They just change their name. And the worst part? He waited until everyone was asleep. And now, I can't sleep without him.